I never thought I'd get revenge on a guy over a set of wrenches, but when Mike from next door showed up on my moving day in the summer of 1995 with that smug grin, demanding I return the power drill he'd loaned me years ago, something in me finally snapped. There he was, all 6 feet 2 inches of beer-gutted bully, blocking my U-Haul in our quiet Ohio suburb, claiming I'd stolen his stuff when everyone on the block knew the truth. My hands shook as I gripped the truck keys, the July heat making sweat drip down my back, while my wife Sarah watched from the porch with our 2 kids. Back in the early 90s, I moved into this neighborhood as a 28-year-old mechanic fresh off a divorce, trying to rebuild after my ex left with half my savings. Mike, a loudmouth factory worker in his mid-40s with a faded marine tattoo on his forearm and a perpetual scowl, had welcomed me by borrowing my socket set one weekend for his truck. He never returned it. Then it was my jumper cables, my impact driver, even my favorite torque wrench that my old man had given me before he passed. I confronted him politely at first, but Mike would just laugh it off, saying, "Tools grow legs around here, kid," while his wife avoided eye contact. He had this habit of tinkering in his garage late at night with stolen parts, blasting classic rock, and yelling at his dog. Sarah begged me to let it go for the kid's sake, but every missing tool reminded me of how powerless I felt after the divorce. I started keeping a secret inventory in my notebook, noting dates and descriptions, my one quiet rebellion. Mike's weakness was his pride. He hated looking weak in front of the neighbors, especially after losing his job last year and relying on odd jobs. The conflict escalated slowly over the years, but it boiled over during packing. I'd finally landed a better gig in Michigan, and we were moving in 2 days. Mike had been watching us load the truck, his beady eyes scanning for anything he could claim. That morning, he stomped over in his grease-stained wife beater, holding up an old receipt he'd probably forged, accusing me of taking his Milwaukee drill from '92. "You think you can just skip town with my shit?" he barked, loud enough for old Mrs. Henderson across the street to peek out her curtains. I felt my face burn, remembering all the times I'd lent him my lawnmower only for it to come back broken. Sarah pulled me aside, whispering that starting a fight wasn't worth it, but inside I was replaying every stolen item, every dismissive wave when I'd asked for them back. Then came the small turn. As I argued back, Mike slipped and mentioned he'd sold my torque wrench at a flea market for beer money. That was the moment my plan clicked into place. I'd been quietly buying duplicates of everything he'd taken over the last 6 months, hiding them in the attic, practicing my lines in the mirror while Sarah was at work. My unique skill as a mechanic let me modify tools just enough to look identical, but fail spectacularly under pressure. I told Mike I'd found his drill in the basement and invited him inside to grab it, knowing his greed would win out. He followed me in, grumbling about finally getting what's his, while I handed over the rigged tool with a straight face, my heart pounding but my voice steady. The high point hit when Mike plugged in the drill right there in my empty living room to test it before I left. It whirred to life for 5 seconds. Then the motor seized with a loud pop and smoke poured out, short-circuiting the outlet and tripping the breaker for the whole house. His face went from triumphant to purple rage as sparks flew and the smell of burnt wiring filled the air. "What the hell did you do?" he yelled, dropping the smoking tool like it bit him. I just shrugged and said, "Guess tools grow legs around here, Mike. Or maybe they just don't like thieves." Neighbors started gathering outside as he stormed out, cursing, only to find his own truck wouldn't start because I'd tipped off the local pawn shop about the serial numbers on half his projects the night before. The cops showed up for a noise complaint turned theft investigation, and Mike's garage full of suspiciously familiar tools got searched right as my U-Haul pulled away. By the time we hit the highway, Sarah was laughing in the passenger seat, squeezing my hand, and saying she'd never seen me so calm under fire. The kids thought it was just another dad story, but I sat there reflecting on how holding on to that anger for so long had almost cost me my family. Mike lost his reputation that day, and word spread fast in our small town. I didn't need to destroy him completely. Watching his face when his own lies caught up was enough. Karma's a bitch, especially when you play stupid games with a guy who knows his way around engines. We started fresh in Michigan, and I finally let go of the past, tools and all.